Title: The Desolate Highway. I never liked driving at night, especially on desolate highways far from the city lights. But that night, I had no choice. My friend's wedding had run late, and I found myself alone in my car, driving through the eerie darkness. The road stretched out like a black abyss, and the only sounds were the haunting whispers of the wind. As I drove, a strange unease settled in my chest. The headlights of my car seemed feeble against the enveloping darkness, casting long, eerie shadows on the desolate surroundings. My grip on the steering wheel tightened, and I tried to shake off the feeling that something was terribly wrong. Up ahead, I saw a faint glimmer of light signaling a gas station. Relieved, I decided to stop and stretch my legs for a moment. As I pulled into the station, I noticed how isolated it was, surrounded by thick woods and an aura of silence. Stepping out of my car, I felt an unnatural chill in the air. My eyes scanned the area, but there was no sign of life. The station itself seemed abandoned, with an old, weathered sign creaking in the wind. I hesitated, half tempted to get back in my car and continue my journey. But my gas gauge was dangerously low, so I had no choice but to fill up. The air inside the station was stale, and the only light came from a flickering overhead bulb. The surroundings were eerie, but I managed to find the fuel pump and began to fill up my tank. All the while, a feeling of being watched gnawed at the back of my mind. As I waited for the tank to fill, I noticed a faded map hanging on the wall. It depicted the highway I was on, but something was off. The map showed only a vast expanse of woods with no other roads or signs of civilization nearby. It was as if the world beyond this gas station didn't exist. With a shiver, I turned to ask the station attendant for directions. But when I approached the counter, there was no one there. The place was deserted. Panic crept into my heart, and I rushed back outside, my car now fully fueled. Before I could drive away, the headlights of my car flickered and the engine sputtered. Fear gnawed at me as I tried to start the car again and again, but it remained lifeless. Out of nowhere, a faint whisper filled the air as if carried by the wind. "Leave. Get out of here," it seemed to say. My heart pounded in my chest, and I felt an overwhelming sense of dread. My only instinct was to flee. In the distance, I saw the faint glimmer of another light. It was coming from deeper in the woods. Fear and desperation pushed me to abandon my car and venture into the darkness. The eerie glow led me through the dense foliage until I reached a clearing. What I saw there filled me with unimaginable horror. A twisted, gnarled tree stood in the center, with strange symbols carved into its bark, and surrounding it were ghostly apparitions, their eyes hollow, their faces contorted with anguish. I stumbled back, my mind unable to comprehend the nightmarish sight before me. The whispers grew louder, filling my head with their haunting pleas. "You shouldn't have come. Leave. Leave while you can." Terrified, I turned and ran, ignoring the branches that scratched at my skin and the thorns that tore at my clothes. My heart pounded in my ears as I made my way back to the highway, praying that I could escape this hellish nightmare. I reached my car and tried one last time to start it, and miraculously the engine roared to life. Without a second thought, I sped away from that cursed gas station and the horrors within the woods. As I drove, I couldn't shake off the feeling that those specters were still following me, their tortured moans echoing in the night. But finally, as I approached the city lights, the malevolent presence seemed to fade away. I've never been able to explain what happened that night, and I've never driven on that desolate highway again. But the memory of the haunted gas station and the cursed woods still lingers, reminding me that some roads are best left unexplored, and that darkness conceals terrors beyond comprehension.